Welcome to the Daily Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Meredith. I've led my family on a transformative health journey for over a decade, and now I help other families do the same. This is a place where busy moms can learn about healthy living. I hope that what you learn here helps you feel empowered to take the next step in your family's health journey. Hey friends, welcome back to the Daily Wellness Podcast. I'm really glad you're here today. We're going to be heading into something that a lot of us don't think about until it's a problem, and that's tick season. You may not know, may not remember that one of my sons, who is currently 16, was diagnosed with Lyme disease at 12 years old, and we had to battle through a pretty significant healing journey with him. We didn't catch it with him right away. We just eventually noticed that he was sick. He was very inflamed, he had chronic pain, fatigue, things that were very uncharacteristic for a 12-year-old boy. Our pediatrician told us that they thought it was growing pains and that we didn't really need to do anything, but I just knew in my mom instincts that that wasn't right. So I went to a functional medicine doctor at that point. We found out what it was and we got him on a treatment plan. I don't wish that process of having Lyme's disease or having a kid with Lyme's disease on anyone. Being prepared and knowledgeable about ticks and tick bite prevention is something that I've thought a lot about since then. Makes sense, right? We're still very much an outdoor family. I'm not going to hesitate to go outside and spend time in the woods, but I am intentional about how I do that now. So if you like spending time outside, going on walks, hiking with your family, or even just letting your kids run around in the backyard, which is wonderful, this is something that we need to be a little bit more proactive about. You don't have to be scared. You just need to be prepared. Because here's the reality. Um, Over the past couple of decades, I would say, it's probably right, early 2000s, tick-borne illnesses have increased dramatically. According to the CDC, reported cases of Lyme disease have nearly tripled since the early 2000s, and experts estimate that around 476,000 Americans are diagnosed and treated for Lyme each year. And then there's something that you may not have heard of, but became a lot more prevalent in the past 5 years or so, and that's alpha-gal syndrome. This is the red meat allergy that can develop after a bite from the Lone Star tick. Cases of alpha-gal have been rising quickly too, especially in the Midwest and the Southeast, with tens of thousands of suspected cases and many more likely undiagnosed. So this isn't just a rare thing anymore. Used to be rare, like when I was a kid, right? But it's becoming more common, and it's something that we want to be aware of without living in fear. So today's episode is all about how to prepare for tick season naturally. You know, but I like to approach things naturally whenever possible, and thankfully we can approach this naturally. We're going to talk about how to repel ticks naturally, what to wear when you're outdoors, when you're going out into the woods, if you're going to a park or something like that, how you can treat your backyard naturally, and what to do if you actually get bitten by a tick. So, just as a disclaimer, nothing I say here is medical advice. It's all based on my own experience, my own opinion, and my own research. But we're going to start with prevention because that is the ideal situation, just not getting bit at all, right? So, some natural ways to repel ticks. The first thing that most people think of to prevent a bite is bug spray. It's fine. There are a lot of chemical heavy repellents out there, though, and I don't recommend using those. Thankfully, there are some really effective natural options now. One of my favorites that I will link in the show notes for you is a natural bug spray made with essential oils, things like cedarwood, lemongrass, eucalyptus, geranium, citronella. Ticks hate those scents. Even lavender essential oil is somewhat effective and can be safe for babies and toddlers. So if you have some of these oils on hand, you can even DIY an essential oil bug spray. And I much prefer this type of spray because I can put it on and not feel like I have to take a shower immediately afterwards. It's just really nice. Another option that's become really popular, especially for kids, are the tick repelling stickers. Have you guys seen those? These are infused with essential oils, and they can be placed on anything that you're wearing. They can put on your clothes, your shoes, your backpacks. So it's really super easy for kids. Easy, low effort, especially if, your little one just doesn't like being sprayed down. I don't have as much experience with these. I am less confident in them because of that. But you could experiment with them, see if you like them. I will link a natural option for those in the show notes too. Basically, anything I mention product wise, I'm going to try and link for your convenience. So I won't have to keep repeating that. Just know that if I mention a product, I will try to link it for you. But let's talk about what you should be wearing. If you're going out into a wooded area, something with tall grass, or you're going to go on a hiking trail, maybe try some of these tips. One tip is to wear light colored clothing so that ticks are easier to spot. You could also wear long sleeves and long pants when possible. It just takes longer for the tick to find a place to bite. I can't always do that because it's just too hot, but but if I am wearing pants, I will also tuck my pants into my socks to kind of create a barrier there. And then I always prefer me and my kids to wear closed-toed shoes and socks instead of sandals if we are going to be walking in tall grass. Understandably, you might want to not want to do all of that if you're just sending your kid out in the backyard to play while you're making dinner, or if you're stepping out to water your garden. But if you have a yard that backs up to trees, woods, or a creek, you are more likely to have ticks nearby. So just do what you can. The good news is that you can also treat your yard naturally. So maybe you don't have to treat your kids every time. There's a product called Wondercide. It's a spray, and there's a cedar side chips that you can put out in your yard that will repel bugs without harsh chemicals. So you can put those kinds of things around the perimeter of your yard. If you have like a wooded edge, if you have a play area, you can put them on the patios and decks. Also, just keeping your grass cut shorter does help as well, clearing any leaf litter, creating kind of a bit of separation between a wooded area and the lawn, or the wooded area and the place where your kids are playing, can really help reduce the tick habitats. Hi, friends. I want to tell you about a new resource. Did you know that breast cancer is a problem? Of course you do, because 1 in 8 women will receive a breast cancer diagnosis. And we all know someone personally who's been affected by this. I started taking this pretty seriously a few years ago when I decided that I really wanted to come up with a breast health plan for myself. But when I went to look for information on how to do that, most of the information out there for women is about screenings and detection and not prevention. Knowing what I know about health, I knew that there had to be a way that I could really make my body resistant to disease and make my breast resistant to disease. After years of research, asking questions, learning, come to find out there actually is a lot that we can do as women to be proactive and pursue breast health 365 days a year. So I have decided to put this information into a guide because I really just don't see people talking about this. And I think women deserve to know the things that we can do that will really impact our health and reduce our risk of diagnosis. We talk about all kinds of things, and I get into over 30 pages worth of tips and practical things that you can be doing in your life that will really make a difference. And I really think that this can not just make a difference for you, but make a difference for the future generations of women in your family. If you want to learn more about this, it's called the 365 Breast Health Guide. You can get the link in the show notes, or you can go to dailywellnesscommunity.com. Another thing that you might consider is getting some backyard chickens or guineas, because one chicken can eat 80 to 100 ticks a day. That's a crazy amount, but if you're allowed to have them, you might consider that. When you're coming in from the outdoors and before you shower, do a full body tick check. You want to just think about these things. You want to think about your hair, your pits, your waist, your knees, and your ankles. So, most often when we check quickly after coming inside, if we find a tick, we find it before it has actually attached itself. So, that timing is important. Start with your hair and your scalp, and use your fingers like a comb, and actually use the tips of your fingers to feel all along your scalp. Check behind your ears, around the hairline and the nape of your neck. Check your armpits too, and the insides of your elbows, because ticks love those warm, hidden areas. So don't rush when you're looking at those spots. The third area that you want to look at is the torso. So look all around the waistline. If you had pants on, that pants line, check under your bra line. This worm and it's kind of hiding, can be hiding in there. Check in your belly button. Yes, really. Check along the sides of your body. You also want to check your lower body. Check between your legs and your groin area. Check behind your knees. Check around your ankles too, where they probably have just crawling up from the ground. Check the tops and bottoms of your feet. And there's going to be some areas that are a little bit harder for you to see. So you might want to use a full length mirror, or you can even use a handheld mirror to then check the back of your neck, check the back of your hairline if you couldn't see it before. Check down the sides of your back, check the back of your legs, the back of your knees. Basically, you're just trying to be as thorough as possible. You could also, use your spouse or another family member to help you check your body. My kids always do that. Hey, mom, check my hair. And if you have little kids, they'll actually make a game out of it. It's like, okay, I'm going to check my brother's belly button. But it is really important, and you need to tell everybody what to check for because ticks can be very, very tiny. They can be like the size of a poppy seed or mistaken for a freckle. But you wanna look for any and all dark, like dark, maybe not black, but really dark brown dots, anything that feels like a tiny bump or a scab. So sometimes it is easy to mistake it if you're a freckly person with your eyes. So make sure you're using your hands to feel along your body. You're often going to feel it before you see it. So if your kid has an itchy spot later that day or the next day, check to see where they're itching at to see if you missed a tick. After being outside, you should also change your clothes right away. Throw those clothes in the washer as soon as possible. Or if you're not able to do that, even if you can just put them in the dryer on high heat for like 10 to 15 minutes, that will help to kill ticks as well. Uh, Another thing that we need to talk about, I feel like, is what to do if you actually get a tick bite, right? So, despite all of your efforts, if you or your child does get a tick bite, don't panic. There is a chance that it is not disease carrying, but you do, instead of panicking, you just act promptly and properly. So the goal is to remove the tick as soon as possible because the longer it's attached, the higher risk of disease transmission. So here's how to remove it. You're going to use a fine tipped tweezer or a tick removal tool because there's some great ones out there. But there's one called the tick key that you could use, but you want to grasp the tick as close to the skin as possible. Pull upward and steadily. Don't twist it and don't jerk it. Just pull up slow and steady. And the goal, of course, is to try and remove the whole thing. After you remove it, wash that whole area with soap and water or rubbing alcohol. Wash your hands. Um, it I wouldn't recommend some people try to burn off the tick or use oils to suffocate it. I have read that those types of things can increase the risk of infection, so I don't necessarily recommend those things. Um, but you also might want to try and identify the tick. Something some people don't think about doing, but it can really be helpful. So I like to save the tick. I will place the tick in a sealed bag or a container and take a picture of it. There are some online resources and apps that can help you identify the type of tick because different ticks carry different diseases. So, for example, the black legged or deer tick carries Lyme disease, the Lone Star tick carries alpha gal syndrome, the dog tick carries Rocky Mountain spotted fever. So you can even go a step further beyond identifying, and you can actually have that tick tested to see whether or not it carries disease. Um, there are several places you can send it into. Again, try to put one in the show notes for you guys. Not everyone chooses to do that. That's fine. You can just kind of watch and see if it's a problem. But it does give peace of mind to know whether or not that specific tick was carrying disease if you found it latched onto you. Some signs of Lyme disease to watch out for. And the final thing, this is kind of one of the final things I want to talk about because I do feel like it's really important. Knowing what to look for after a bite. one of the most well-known signs is the bullseye rash. You'll hear people talk about that a lot, but the thing is that actually not everyone gets that rash, so it's not like foolproof to only look for that. You could also look for some of the other Lyme disease symptoms, which can include fatigue, which my son had, fever or chills, headache, muscle or joint pain, swollen lymph nodes. Some of these are symptoms of other things too. So I would just say follow your own instincts if you're seeing this in yourself or your kid. Um, if these things aren't addressed, it can lead to more chronic symptoms later in life, more joint pain, neurological issues, extreme fatigue. Everybody experiences different symptoms actually. But we did see some of those things in our son. So if you notice anything that feels off after a tick bite, even if it seems mild, it's worth paying attention to and talking with a healthcare provider. So if I found one on myself or my kid, I would remove it like I explained earlier, and I would wash it really well. But then I would also apply a bentonite clay to that area to help to draw out anything that the tick may have deposited. And then I would start taking vitamin C and astragalus right away. I would probably take those things for up to 3 months. I would have the tick sent off and tested. If the tick is negative, then you could probably stop taking the vitamin C and astragalus. But if it's positive and you have ongoing symptoms, then I would continue taking that and speak to a functional medicine doctor as soon as possible. And make sure you're speaking to one that has experience working with people that have tick-borne diseases. At the end of the day, I don't want this to make you afraid of going outside. Going outside is important. You need sunshine, grounding, sunlight, fresh air. All of those are so important for your health. This is just about being prepared and intentional so that you can still enjoy all of those things without unnecessary risk. A few simple habits, a few natural products on hand, and just knowing what to do, that goes a long way. If this episode was helpful, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or on Instagram and tag me so that I can see you're listening. And make sure you check the show notes for products that I recommend here. It will make getting prepared and feeling empowered to have a great summer, and not worrying about ticks. It'll make that whole process a lot easier. That list will also be on my website. You can go to dailywellnesscommunity.com and search tick, T-I-C-K. All right, I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to today's episode on the Daily Wellness Podcast. We hope that you found it helpful for your own wellness journey. And if so, we'd love for you to leave a review. Then come back and listen for review shoutouts on upcoming episodes. For more information, check out the show notes and connect with us on our website, dailywellnesscommunity.com.